You know, I get up in the morning and look out the window, and what do I see? I've seen it all the time, but sometimes I see something else too. I don't know where the art comes from. I really don't. It just appears. The Asians, the Africans, the Europeans, you know, early Americans, if it's an art, you know, it's always been in each culture, you know? And they all use clay. In high school, it was pretty obvious I was interested in art. And then time comes, well, what do I do now? I'm graduating. I don't have anybody in my family that's ever been an artist. I've read a little bit, but I have a lot of catch up to do. And there was opportunity to make some choices. I was also interested in architecture. In LA, you know, when I first came here, there was nothing over 8 stories high, I think. And then they start building these bigger buildings, and I used to go to those sites and look at those buildings. I was really interested. It didn't take me long before to realize that isn't where I was going. I mean, it was too indirect. I needed to be active in the manipulation, and there were too many people and too much technology. And I said, well, what am I going to pursue? Other artists had totally different interests and different backgrounds, and if you were curious, you know, they would share their particular interest. So I just went and started taking basic courses. I spent a lot of hours in life drawing classes and design classes and watercolor classes. And occasionally I would take a sculpture class. But they were doing figures on metal armatures, and that stuff never appealed to me. And then I did take a ceramic course, and that rang a bell for me. Well, clay goes from powder to could be a liquid to a plastic state to another state, which is called leather hard. It's called leather hard because it's no longer sticky, but it's still flexible. All right, that's a very useful state for certain kinds of construction because you can put a pattern down and cut something like a geometric form, and then where you want to join those edges, you score it and moisten it again, and maybe add a little liquid clay and press it together, and it will bond. you know, I always felt I was never knowledgeable enough. I didn't feel I had to be able to do everything. But, if it seemed like it might be of some interest, at least I would like to know about it, you know. Where do I fit, you know? Am I just interested in amusing myself? Is this my hobby? Is there anything there that I feel I understand better? Then that's my area. The material is very flexible. There are many ways you can use it, and it has an extremely long history. It's probably some of the earliest artifacts were clay. You have to understand some basic things about the material. Is what rate does it dry? What environment are you working in? How long is it going to take you? What's the use? What's the objective? Are you going to drink your coffee out of it? Or are you going to put it on the wall? If you understand the material and you feel comfortable with it and you have control over it and you have a vision about an objective, decide on the composition I want, I can mix it, I can have whatever amount I want. All right, it all falls in place. There's very little thought. It just falls in place. These pieces are all made from large sheets or slabs of clay that were cut and assembled. In the earlier stage of the process, first firing is called bisque, but it doesn't have any glaze. It's got a little dirt on it, I think. So these pieces would have gone through the slab roller originally and then been cut. That one wasn't, but these flatter ones were originally sheets of clay. These would be pieces that were assembled that were originally slabs. I have two mixers. That's a bakery dough mixer was originally. It's modified. Well, it's the same as a scientist in his laboratory. Does he just want to keep repeating previous things, or is he looking for new information? Powders that I mix in the glazes primarily, not in the clay body. Well, this is all ceramics. There is no paint on it. So there's certain materials which are natural for those processes. You're not going to get a color chip and then you're going to match it. You may run a lot of tests which in effect function as a color chip, but tells you what temperature it fired. Cone 11. This tells you, this is on thin, this is medium, this is on heavy. Ceramics has multiple layers of technology. Clay bodies, forming processes, glaze technology, kill firings, temperature ranges, atmospheres. It is complex. It depends, number one, on the type of kill it is. What temperature range is that kill designed to use? Is it electric kill? Is it a gas kill? Is it a wood-fired kill? All those things involve totally different technologies. There are two things that really affect the ceramic process. One is what temperature are you processing the work at? And there's a variety of temperatures that ceramics is executed in. Low fire, and then there's a mid-range, and then there's high fire. The brilliant colors are all low fire. If you want a brilliant color on a higher fire piece, you have to fire it a second time and put the color on. What are you going to do with it? You have some vision about what you're going to do with it. Are you thinking of, a school site exhibition? Are you thinking about your association with a commercial gallery? Are you thinking about the promise that you will participate in a museum exhibition and they want to see new work? The viewer's not in my mind. If it's a commission and somebody wants something for a specific place, then they're involved. If I'm making it for myself or for possible gallery or museum exhibition, it's got to come from my vision, not from someone else's. What I'm interested in about art is that it has multiple associations. You can read it that way. You can read it as something else. I have no problems with that. You look at this piece, it's obvious that some of these forms had a previous existence, which was that I mirrored it or rolled it out or pounded it out on table, took a rolling pin or took some scrapers, cut it. I'd made smaller pieces before, often on a table or something, and then the determinant was the table. But I got off the table onto the floor. The other thing I started doing is cutting some strips and throwing them down on the floor, on the concrete. And then the impact on that surface changed the shape. You take a piece of plastic clay and you put it down there and it does something else from impact. So it had multiple histories in those elements. I was very associated with at that time with Peter Volkas, and he loved the abstract expressionists, The point is, their view was rather singular and limited. Well, it comes down to you make an abstract form. It's not representing anything other than what it is. So you did it. And then they say, what do you call that? What's the name? What's the title? What? How about Blue Wall? It's like a dance. I mean, every move you're going to make, well, it depends if you went to a dance instructor and they showed you all this stuff. Other times you're improvising. Right or wrong has no business in art.